part of Ayurveda is accepting who you are and in the moment and being able to live a life authentically, utilizing practices that are simple and being able to share them freely. I think that's a part of it too, is not only doing it for yourself, but over time, if you do it for yourself, it ripples out to others. And that is a piece of it too.
This episode of Grounded in Maine is sponsored by ESG Review. ESG Review magazine is published quarterly in February, May, August, and November, and is available for free in print and digital formats. ESG Review is devoted to environmental, social, and governance strategies, technologies, and investments. ESGreview.net is updated every Wednesday with 8 new stories and is home to feature articles, news items, and more. Visit esgreview.net to stay informed and help us spark the collaboration and awareness needed to develop sustainable economies and communities around the world.
There's a place where there's no trouble, no more pain, no more struggle.
Grounded in Maine podcast is an open conversation about how we show up for the world. I started this podcast out of a desire to learn new ways to be sustainable because the word sustainability is big. It can be overwhelming, and I just wanted to learn, different ways to try to be part of the solution and not feel like it's too late. So I'm talking to people who are doing different things and learning so much. I hope you are too. Hi there. Thank you so much for listening to Grounded in Maine today. My name is Amy, and my guest today is Brett Aldrich, someone approached me and told me that I should talk to Brett, and I was like, yeah, sure, okay. And then, in doing research, I found out Brett is in Maine and from Maine even. So how fun is that? Brett, thank you so much for being here. I want to hear all about Seed the Spirit, which is your business, and how you got to this point, and then and like why are you doing that? So thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having me, Amy. Yeah, it's a big thank you for these questions. So how did I start? How is it going? Well, personally, I can say my practice began many years ago when my daughter was born. She's 21 now, and I just started out just practicing yoga. As years progressed, we found out she was allergic to most food, and that's where it began. That's where my search began to try to figure out what can I do to take care of my daughter.
Mm.
And as time moved forward, as I grew older, I had my own questions and health concerns, and I fell into Ayurveda when I just was at a little store and I saw this little note card on how to take care of my body and the hours of the day and what they meant in a totally different way. So, Ayurveda is an Indian medicine, about 5,000 years old, probably more. And it is a practice where we try to be in tune and in dance with the world or dance with ourselves. So we try to find balance within by making lifestyle choices and food and diet and lifestyle. And it's called the sister science to yoga. So that's kind of where it began.
Oh,
Um,
okay. So I think of Ayurveda as like a
like a sense, like your senses, your five
yes,
senses.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, like
it
I
is
think of
too.
like the
Yeah.
essential oils type of thing, the scent. But I'm very curious, you said so you happened to find a note card in a store, and the hours of the day, what can you talk about that a
Yes,
little bit?
of course. Yeah, sure. So they call it a dinacharya, which is your daily practice. And one of them is there's a cycle of the day, and there's a chunk of time in each day. And each one has a characteristics or different characteristics. Okay. And so big piece of it is everything is made out of five elements according to Ayurveda. So it's earth, fire, water, air, and ether. So all of those elements also make up what they're called doshas or biological actions or energies. So there's kapha, vata, and pitta. Okay. Those make up hours of the day, but also us. So I could have like pitta has fire and water in it, and I could be have a pitta disposition or constitution. So we're all made up of elements, and the doshas are a collection of those elements.
Oh, wow.
It's
That's
a
deep.
lot. Yeah, it's a lot, but that's where I kind of come in and kind of figure it out. But basically, each chunks of the day have different characteristics. So in the morning, usually there's a heavier part of the day or a sturdier part of the day when we are actually sturdier as humans. So like between the mornings of like in the morning around 9 o'clock in the morning, that's the kapha start part of the day, which is the sturdiest part of the day, usually when most people can exercise a little bit more or um, move a little bit more or are more focused. A lot of us can do more focus work. And then later in the day is the pitta part of the day, which is like around noon, around lunchtime. And that's when we tend to, when the sun is at the highest point, and we tend to have better digestion during that time. So that's when we have our largest meal. And later in the day, the vata part of the day is around 4 o'clock or so. And that is where things are a little airier. Things are, I tend to get a little bit more dizzy in the head. Like I can't really focus as well later in the day. Some of us get a little tired during that time of day. Some of us want a little chocolate, a little caffeine in the day. So that's
For a
usually,
nap.
yep, absolutely take a nap. And then it progresses to into the evening. So then there's a cup of part of the evening, and then a pitta part of the evening, and then a kapha part of the excuse me, a vata part of the morning as well. So there's like two cycles within the 24-hour period of
Two
day.
cycles for each of those. Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. Okay.
hmm So when we go in the flow of that, if we want to pick this subject too, if we're in the flow of the day, what ends up happening, we figure we make choices on how we treat ourselves and take care of ourselves and what we do during that day based upon the time of day. And we kind of get into a flow. And it's how we treat our body. And a lot of us call it the circadian rhythm, a rhythm of the day.
Okay.
And
And so
usually
that's what
over
you meant by saying we dance with the rhythm, dance with the, what was the phrase that you used? Dance with the, I don't know. You
rhythm
said
of the
something
day.
about dancing. Yeah.
Yeah, we kind of flow with the day. And we tend to feel better over time when we go with that flow. We start to feel a little better. Sometimes our sleep gets a little better, our nourishment gets a little bit better because we eat in the middle. Our biggest meal is in the middle of the day, so we're able to assimilate our food and digest a little bit better, things like that. So it tends to, yeah, that's what I learned when I first learned about Ayurveda. That was the first piece as our daily practice or dinacharya.
Okay. And so that's your focus is Ayurveda. Is that
Mhm.
okay? And which is a holistic health. And so this is like you said this is a Native American practice. And so
Uh,
the other one that I'm not very familiar with, but the other one that I'm aware of is like the Asian like Chinese medicine, like Asian.
Yes.
How do
So
they differ?
yes, so mine is an Indian. It's from India.
Oh,
The,
India. Okay, not
yep,
Native American.
yep, it's from India. And then the Chinese medicine. There's some similarities, but they're also very different in many ways. However, from what I understand, there's the elemental piece is similar too as well. Not exactly, but similar. Hmm
Oh, okay. Well, thanks for correcting me. I don't know why I thought it was Native American. Okay. And you said that there are similarities between the two different
hmm
modalities, but okay. So Seed the Spirit. Seed the Spirit is your Ayurvedic practice, and you are in Maine, but you said that you do
Yes.
virtual care, which is super cool since I'm in Virginia.
Yeah.
Uh,
Something we can branch out.
so in your Ayurvedic practice, you also do like herbology and breath work. Are those part of Ayurveda or are they separate but sort of working along with?
Yes. So the herbology or the herbs are also part of Ayurveda. Ayurveda does use herbs in their practices if there's something specific going on. We use a lot of it in our oils. So we infuse herbs into our oils for our skin, our hair, or we ingest it into our body if we have anything going on with our digestion or our blood or our processing. The breath work is there's two parts of the breath, two kinds of breath work. So there's pranayama, which is part of the yoga practice. So breath work is part of Ayurveda. It is part of the practice, but I also do other types of breath work, but it's a circular breath or an inhale and exhale or more rapid breathing. And that is a little bit different. And I was trained in a different method. So I know all kinds of ways to treat the body with breath work. One is through pranayama, which is more of controlled breathing. But then the other one that I have was taught, it's very close to like rebirthing, or therapeutic breath work, which is a whole other kind.
Wow.
But I find all of them sort of work together, when we're discussing health and changing patterning or changing behaviors or a holistic health, the breath work is helpful to integrate the practices of Ayurveda. So,
My friend Amanda does, she does, well, her Instagram handle is the breathing goddess. So she does breath work, like a detox, every so often. I mean, she does it a lot. I've done it a few times. Um, so I'm somewhat familiar with that. That's not what do you call that?
pranayam.
Yeah, that one. Is it
Pranayam.
that one or is that the other one?
The pranayam is more of the part of the Ayurvedic practices or the yogic practices, and it's a little bit more controlled breathing. There's different methods and different ways. And then there's the circular breathing or the breath work that I do that's almost like rebirthing or something like that, where it's a little bit different.
Okay.
It's more of a inhale and an exhale, and it's one after the other, and it's continuous
Okay.
breathing. And it is a way of just kind of cleansing the body, taking any stuck emotion out of the body. Sometimes we hold on to stuff or tension in our muscles and our joints and our body and our mind. And the breath work helps to alleviate that and flush it out or kind of release any stuck emotion in the body. Yeah. So it tends to work hand in hand.
Okay. And so what is sort of your specialty with all of this? Like what makes this okay, we were talking before we hit record, and I was just
Mhm.
saying, this practice really falls into the sustainability realm because, especially right now, things are a little bit crazy with healthcare and um, people's medication costs are gonna skyrocket. So we might need to go a different route to sort of supplement and support ourselves. Um, and so I thought that this was a really interesting opportunity to speak with you. And so, or I picked up from your website, like honoring the body's rhythm. And I know you were talking about that with like the circadian rhythm, and you said eating seasonally, growing your own food, and oh, there was just so much. There was so much, and I feel like I'm trying to piece it all together and make it make sense, and my brain is not doing that tonight. But I mean, you had said living in harmony with what is abundant, and that's a really powerful statement, I think. Instead of artificially available. So that would be, unseasonal things and chemicals and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I really do I do believe the Ayurvedic practices is to eat seasonally, and that's a big piece as well. What is an abundance, and also it's also most nutritively available when it is in abundance. It's like at its heightened nutritional value for someone.
Mhm.
And when it's in abundance, you can share it. When it's in abundance, you can use other methods to hold over this food. So a lot of people preserve it or dry or um, preserve the seeds, those things. The and when it's in more abundance, more people are going to have it, right?
Mhm.
And then we're not taking from somewhere else, right? When in the fall or in the autumn months, we're leaning more towards root vegetables and leaning away from, citrus and fruits,
Right.
melons, things like that are less available. So we don't try to create something that can't grow here,
Hmm.
right? And that's something that we're just trying to continue to do, because then when we only eat what's in abundance, then it's more available the next year. So we're not taking from one that it can't, there's no space for it, or there's nothing they can give, right? If
Right.
we're thinking of, the natural flow.
Right. And and that sort of feeds into, or, goes along with what you had said, to me at least, yeah, but taking only what you need, like not,
Mhm.
going overboard and, not taking from other, I'm gonna stop talking.
Yeah, it's 6 o'clock. It's yeah, I know. Listen, I know.
What's the phase that my brain is in?
Oh, yes, we are in. Well, it's 6 o'clock, so we're heading towards the cuppa stage, but we're starting to slow down a little bit and get ready for bed. And it's also darker up here. But the biggest piece I feel is that, what it does is it teaches us to tend to ourselves in a way that our body feels good, right? And that's really what it is reteaching us what our body already knows.
Mm,
So when I have a conversation with someone, I'm just reteaching you what your body knows. So your mind can do what your body's asking for, pretty much. And
does the
that's
body
where,
forget that though?
well, if your body's showing symptoms of discomfort, then it's body's way of communicating with you something's not quite right, and it's telling you it's either missing something or wants something or has too much of something or not enough of something.
Okay.
And when we have conversations regarding, your elemental characteristics and what you would want to choose to take care of yourself, and when it comes to your food and your spices and lifestyle, you just gain the knowledge of yourself, so then you can pick and choose on your own. So you create your own discernment. You're kind of empowered into what really works for you. And your body will over time let you know. Um, and our symptoms are just our bodies communicating to us, so um, when we understand what that communication is and we can hear it, and interpret it, and use investigation and knowledge, over time, the hope is, those symptoms start to subside and you start to feel more comfort in the body.
Okay. And you
Yeah.
said spices, which got
Yeah.
my radar went up for that.
Yes, absolutely. It's everything, right? And the spices are really helpful too as well. They're part of, they assist in digestion and assimilation of your food, but they also contribute to building and cleansing of the body as well. Um, in combination with plant-based food, also milks, things like that. So it's just assists in everything else that we're doing. Yeah, helps
Oh,
with, yeah.
I love that. I love that because I'm a food person. And
Yeah, it's like being friends with your food, have it love you back. Yeah, it's great. I
yeah,
enjoy it
I mean
too.
this season is like the cinnamon season for me. Put
Hmm.
extra cinnamon and everything. And I know that that's a good one. I know I make my own tooth powder and the cinnamon goes in that as an antibacterial, not antibiotic.
Yeah, it's
That
great.
and cloves.
Yes, absolutely. Clove is great. It's really nice that, we've over time since, I've been learning Ayurveda. Gosh, I learned so long ago, and that was my training, my education, but I've been seeing and noticing, or maybe it's just because I know it, but there seems to be a lot more interest in utilizing what's available, naturally, to tend to all parts of the body and the needs, which is really good to see. Yeah.
Right. I think it's really important to I mean, like you're saying, utilize what's available and just embrace that because if we can grow it ourselves, if we can acquire it ourselves and like you were saying in seasonality and in abundance, like that's the best, right? It's easily attainable and better for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree wholeheartedly on that.
So you started.
see the spirit came from you learning how to manage your daughter's allergies. And then you had your own things that you were doing research into, and you were like, let's just go all in because everyone else, because you've had success for yourself and for your daughter, and you were like, let's, you know, help other people. Why not?
Yes,
You've invested in the education.
yes, yes, absolutely. And I can absolutely relate to a lot of things too, going to you know, my own doctor and saying, I'm just not feeling right. I just definitely I absolutely had that experience of I'm just not feeling right and being told I'm doing okay, but still feeling symptoms, just feeling like I'm not digesting. I wasn't digesting my food properly. I was having, a lot of, issues in that manner. And I was having some trouble sleeping myself. And I was just like, something else is going on here. I don't know what it is. I'm missing something, obviously. And, I just saw that card in Ayurveda. And then, over time, I just kept seeing it more often. And I was noticing how I was starting to feel, and I was feeling better every time I tried something different. And I hadn't even had a consultation or I hadn't even received the education. I was just picking up a little bit of information at a time.
Mm,
And the opportunity rose, and, I was like, maybe this is something that a lot of people may need. I wasn't quite sure, but I knew I needed it.
right.
And that's kind of my nature. I do dive in when I find that something is starting to catch on and I feel that it's useful, not just for me, but for somebody else. And that tends to work because either way, it's in whether or not it's, something I'm going to do for the rest of my life, whether I do it for someone else or it's just my own personal practice.
Hmm.
Um, it's absolutely been, a game changer for me when it comes to my own health and how I feel. And, it does make sense over time when you start doing it, it starts to make sense. And I was like, if it makes sense and it feels good, then obviously something's working here. And it's an ancient practice from so long ago. And, I'm seeing in newer, um, holistic practices, I'm seeing some similarities as well that like, oh, obvious, this is something.
Yeah.
So
It's
that's kind of how. Hmm.
I think yeah, I think that there are a lot of people that are turning to alternative methods of healing just to maybe healing is not the right word, but alternative practices just because I don't know, because we've all heard, what you heard basically, well, everything looks fine. Everything looks
Yeah.
fine, whether you feel right or not. Like I don't know how to help you because everything comes out fine.
Yeah, and I think, over time, I there's a level of community and getting to know and having personal connection with clientele or clients or people that are just asking questions and have curiosity. I feel it's a conversation that you can have. I usually just have a conversation. There's a lot of it has to do with education, and over time, the great thing is that it's just knowledge. So you use it for yourself and you know our time together is, wonderful. And, if I work with someone, it's a wonderful time to get to know someone. And there's connection there as well.
Right. Well, you really get to know them. In these
Yeah, we really get to know.
these are intimate
Very
questions.
true. There are many questions. Yes, we get to know. And I feel that's something that really is lovely about a lot of these practices that we have is that there is a lot of deep conversation around a lot of information, not just one particular thing. It's everything that we want to focus on and provide practices that are sustainable, easy to attain, practical. We understand people's lives are very busy and changing one little thing could be kind of a big deal. 5 minutes really makes or breaks a day for some people. It really does. So, being sensitive to that and understanding to that, we really do try to do that as well.
Mm.
And then over time, once people start to see some results, they're interested in trying a little bit more. And that is kind of the hope is that, when you change something too drastically, it's really hard for the body, for the person to adapt.
Mhm.
However, if you do it a little bit and slowly over time, adaptation is a little bit easier. and there's a little less conflict within. Because,
Sure.
there's the
Sure. Of
big
course.
change in a very short amount of time is tough for anybody.
Yeah.
So we try to make it a sustainable and adaptable and attainable.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds, oh gosh. I mean, I could go in a million different directions with this, but like, I mean, we've all been to our provider. I assume we've all been to the provider and they're like, 10 minutes, that's what you get because I've got all these other people to see. And I'm not pooping on the doctors, but like, the system is broken. I'm saying it. The system is broken. And so the people are going for help and they're not getting what they need because they don't feel heard. And so I think that you're saying in like supplement to this, um, or as a supplement to medical providers, you can offer a lot of support. And, it's like an herbal or, um, it's a holistic practice. So I'm not going to make
Yeah,
up
it's a
words,
lifestyle.
but
Yeah,
it's also
absolutely. It's a
spending time with
lifestyle.
someone. So it's like deep connection, which is, it's so needed. Like to feel like someone knows you and someone hears you. It sounds like it's something that is, just so crucial to our own healing. Like so much, we're just like, we just kind of are not zombies, but we're just sort of like on autopilot going through life, and we do the small talk thing, um and don't really know people. Like we have friends, but do they, when someone says, "How are you?" You know that they're not looking for how you are. They're like,
Right.
"Oh,
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
good. How
Right.
are you?"
Be careful what you ask. Be careful what you, right? And that's so, oh, that's so fun. It's so funny, but it is true, like if someone says, "How are you?" Like we really want to know how you're doing, what's going on. And yes, it is supplemental, and we don't replace, nor do we like say, "Don't do that, don't do this." If you were under the supervision of a doctor, we absolutely, respect and understand that is very vital and important. We also just supplement to what is also going on, just so you can do other things and concentrate on that other stuff as well. Sometimes concentrating on the symptom and um, only thinking about that can be really challenging as well.
Hmm.
And believe me, it's hard not to only concentrate on that if it's really difficult and totally understandable. What we do is we try to, create an environment for you or knowledge and allow you to have some discernment to decide other options for you to add to what you're already doing.
Right.
Um, and to create some comfort in your body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I would think that I mean, at least for me, just having a, deep conversation and like getting to the root of like what is sort of agitating things, and having someone present to ask the right questions or to, just to hear what's going on. It feels like, and I might be putting words into your mouth or someone's mouth, but like I feel like having that connection with someone and knowing that someone hears, and then for me, I process things verbally a lot, and so living alone is really hard. But like just to be able to say things out loud and be heard and have someone be curious and not be like, no, that's not it. But someone to say, wow, that new? Or I just
Mhm.
I feel like I'm not heard a lot, and I feel like I'm holding a lot in because people don't want to hear it, and it's not helping. So, and I feel like a lot of people may also have that experience. And so I
Yeah,
feel, and
absolutely.
that's like me probably needing therapy. Like
Mhm.
I need someone to talk to. But I think that it's also a part of physical healing to be understood.
Mhm. Yeah, to hear what's going on and um yeah, and having someone listen to what your needs are, what your questions might be, there's short-term and long-term solutions to many things, or opportunity to create solution. Yeah, and just to hear everything, because it really is about everything. A teacher of mine says everything matters. Everything does matter when when it comes to your health and your comes to your, into your life, everything does matter. And and if you look at it through the Ayurvedic lens, elements and description, like there's an ebb and flow and a shift and a change. You do one thing, it's an action, and then you feel what that action does. It's an ebb and a flow. Um, but it's an action and then a reaction, right? So yeah, everything does matter. And
Okay.
there's some things that we forget, like, oh gosh, I totally forgot about that. Yeah, that probably was a factor in something, and having that time to um rest and have time to think about, everything
Mm-hmm.
and be
Right.
able to think about it. Yeah.
Yeah. And so since you said elements again,
Mhm.
I wanted to go back to that
Yeah.
because I feel like it's not that I feel like I need more understanding. I just want to understand the elements because I know that you said them. There's earth, there's air, water, ether. What am I missing? That's four, right? Or is that five? Did I say
Fire, earth. Yeah.
fire?
I
Yes.
always forget one. I do the same thing. I always forget one of them. Yep. Earth, air, water, fire, and ether.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how do you know which one is you, or is it at different times of the day that you are? How does that work?
Sure. Yes. So we all have all of them, right? However, some of us have more than others. So, for example, if someone has, I'll just think of characteristics. So there's some characteristics that, are just a part of what. So Earth has different characteristics. So the Earth element has stability, cool. So yeah, so stability and cool. So if you have those characteristics, maybe you don't have as much fire in your body. Okay, maybe you don't have the characteristics of the fire, which is hot, you know, um, and yes. So when you have that, and your digestion may not be so, intense, right? So if your digestion is slow, if you have more of the earth element, what you'll do is you'll eat or do practices that ignite the digestion
Okay.
in your
And
body.
so I'm Sagittarius, so I think I'm a fire sign. Does that correlate at all? Like, is there anything to that,
Um,
or are they
What we
completely
do,
different?
and it's a little bit different in Ayurveda. What we do is we have conversation with you. It's about you know, everything, right? So your hair color, the size of your eyes, whether they're large and wide or just small, the size of your, your stature, whether you're tall or short. It has to do with your eye color. It has to do with your skin color. It has to do with your mannerisms. All of those things have characteristics. So those characteristics are part of the elements. So we look at everything. So we don't typically look at that, though it's not a factor, right? Everything matters. But what we do is we look more of the physical, and we also look at the mental as well. We ask if, what kind of dreams do you have? Things like that. What are your favorite foods? Things like that. So all of that matters, and all of that is part of the process of kind of finding out what you're made out of.
That's so interesting. So I want to play with that a little bit if we can.
You can try,
I'm just
yeah.
thinking,
Absolutely.
so
Yeah.
um when you said, things that you really like to eat, I'm thinking one of my favorite foods is beets. Like, would that make me like an earth person? Because they're very earthy?
Yeah, it depends. You may prefer beets because you might need or want something more earthy. Also, beets are kind of also warming to the body a little bit too, so they have a little bit of fire. So it depends. Not a lot, just a little bit. And yeah, so they're wonderful, right? I love them. And so it all depends on what you're made out of. Like either you love them because you have a lot of earth in you, and when you crave
Or that your
more,
body craves? Yeah.
there's a craving. And what we try to do is kind of like even that out with other options. Yeah, it all depends. It all depends.
Oh my
Maybe you need,
gosh. I want to
yeah.
research that alone. Like that's just fascinating to me. And can you like look at someone and be like, yeah, they're water.
Right. Well, we can assume, right, by looking, so water has the water element has is earth has water element, and so does the so pitta and kapha, right? So pitta has the water element in it too as well, and so does the kapha. Kapha. They both do. So it all depends on kind of how it's shown with the body or with your or everything else.
That sounds
So
like so much to
yeah.
keep track of.
Yeah, that's why I received the training and education. So, like, what we do is we'll discuss, but it really is interesting to understand. So, over time, that's what I do consider myself a teacher as well and an educator when it comes to this, because it really is about empowering the people you're working with to provide them with all of this information. So, over time, they can do it on their own and walk out there and have an understanding. Um, Sometimes people feel it's a lot of rules. However, it's just us kind of reminding you of how you operate.
Yeah, I mean that's how it sounds to me actually. Like
Yeah.
almost like a I was talking to my friend Emily today and my friend Amanda did a post today say or maybe it was 2 days ago. I don't know, but she did a post and it said something about Mercury retrograde and I was like, "Oh, Mercury retrograde I don't do a lot of the zodiac things, but I Mercury retrograde is no joke. And so I was like, is it Mercury retrograde? I actually have an app for Mercury retrograde, and it didn't say that we're in retrograde right now. But I was telling Emily, and she was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. So it's something like that, like you're just
Mhm.
aware, it makes you aware of how you are and what you're up to, that type of thing. Like
Yeah.
understanding it, you can be like, oh, we're at the whatever stage of the day, like that explains why my brain is dead or
Yes.
why
And
I'm so hungry or whatever.
absolutely. And what we do is it explains it and then we can take action based upon that understanding. And that's kind of what it is like taking action to take care of your body during a period of time where you understand that this is kind of the typical expectation or understanding. So, yeah, so that's all really what it is. Knowing and understanding how it works. So then you can just make decisions that are best for you. And over time, you just hope that it just becomes second nature.
Hmm.
So you don't even really have to think about it too
Yeah.
much.
I want to do more research into the element thing because I think that that would be so fascinating just to understand self better.
Yep. And then if you speak with an Ayurvedic practitioner, they do a lot of questions and you can work together with them as well. Um, and I do it as well. We go over it and we just have that basis of knowledge and foundation to work from. And then you go from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you said you've been studying Ayurveda for 21 years
The
ish?
yoga practice, I started taking it about 21 years ago.
Oh,
The Ayurvedic practices, I did a little bit later, because I didn't know. I was like, yoga, okay. I don't know, and then when I really learned what yoga really was, the asana was just a piece, or the physical practice was just a little piece. And I don't want to say little piece, but like a piece of everything else.
right.
And so Ayurveda, I believe I started back in 2016, 2017. Uh,
Okay.
that's where the deeper practices, that's where my education started. Um, yeah.
Okay. I mean, I think that, 21 years ago, yoga was sort of like a woo-woo thing, and now it's so mainstream. And
Mm.
Ayurveda was probably not even something that was discussed a lot back then. So that's it all. And it sounds like you started with, yoga practice, and as you learn more, you're like, ooh, this is really fascinating. I need to know more. And now you've just incorporated all of these different things to be this great practitioner. Um, and so I do have a couple of questions. So I'm curious what you were doing before you started yoga. Like what I mean, like who was Brett before
Yeah.
you were a holistic practitioner?
Yeah, so let's see, long time ago, I worked, I know, goodness, many lifetimes ago. I was an advocate for victims and witnesses of crime. So I worked in a very intense environment. I loved the job. And then I worked in shelter work. I did a lot of social work, things like that. And it was a really great work. And then I had my daughter and decided to stay home full time and stayed home full time with my children and just continued that. And the yoga practice was part of my world. Just as each child I have 3 children. And so we moved forward and life got complicated. And I was like, I want to figure out how to be less complicated. And that's how it really began. And I did work in education as well, with children with special needs and cognitive and physical disability. So we that was my primary work too as well. And while I was taking on this other practice and this education with Ayurveda. Yeah, and it all just kind of worked together. Yeah,
Yeah.
it
I mean,
all.
I would think that the empathy part that you needed to work with crime and these people that are victims of crimes would require a lot of empathy, and then you were able to just like you had that started already, and I might be completely wrong, and feel free to correct me, but then like just like incorporating the yoga had to be really healing for you, and then adding to that you were just like this is something to not ignore.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of it was I learned a lot about how people can really get better and heal over time. Consistency and hard work and believing you can get better. And when you believe you can get better, typically over time you can and do. It's a long process. Life is our lives can be very long. And so the process of healing is as long as our life. That's what I've been told, and that's how it feels like. So, it was just an experience that I had. Brings in some knowledge and understanding of just the human being,
Yeah.
understanding and yeah, and the potential of healing is there. So that's always been part of the process and stuff. Something I feel I have belief in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Well, I mean, you've seen how it works. Um,
Mhm.
so what does the word sustainability mean to you, Brett?
Oh gosh. Sustainability is being able to live authentically, consistently. I feel that if you can, part of Ayurveda is accepting who you are and in the moment and being able to live a life authentically, utilizing practices that are simple, um, and being able to share them freely. I think that's a part of it too, is not only doing it for yourself, but over time, if you do it for yourself, it ripples out to others. And that is a piece of it too. So it doesn't take too much hard work and it doesn't use up too much energy.
Wow,
Like,
that's actually really deep. I love that.
oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah.
I mean, it sounds sort of simple, but at the same time, like the whole ripple effect, like you be authentic to yourself and know who you are, and it's like shining your authentic light, and people will be drawn to you, and you can help them, and um, that's beautiful. Goodness.
Yeah,
How can people find and follow and learn more and work with you if they want to?
absolutely. My website is my primary spot to take a look and to contact me. It's seedthespirit.com. I also have email. It's brett.seedthespirit@gmail.com. You can also on my website see there's a free 20-minute consultation. You can click on that and get a hold of me, and we can communicate and get to know each other that way. That's usually my primary way. And I do everything either online or in person. So, and plus I'm on, Instagram and Facebook. And so you can also reach out to me that way as well.
Okay. And Instagram, Facebook, are you Seed the Spirit or are you Brett Aldrich?
Seed the Spirit is on there as well. Seed the Spirit LLC, and you will find me.
Okay, awesome. My goodness, it's so much, and I feel like I was all over the place, but there's just so much to it, and I'm so curious about all of it. But thank you so much for bringing all of this to us today, Brett. I so appreciate your wisdom and everything that you have learned and shared with us today.
Thank you for having me, Amy. It was a lot of fun.
I just want to take a second to thank my guest again for speaking with me and sharing such great information. I love having these conversations with folks. I also want to thank Buzzsprout for hosting the podcast, for Jane Bolduck and her music genius, for Becca Coffron and her award-winning artwork. And thank you for listening. I appreciate that so much. Please check out the show notes for any links and extra information. And if you would like to follow my guest and find out more about them, I'm sure they would love the follow. And if you don't mind leaving a rating or review wherever you're listening, and just help to get this podcast in front of new eyes, that would be amazing. I would really love that. And feel free to reach out to me on the socials and let me know what you're thinking. And if you would like to be a guest on the podcast, please let me know that. I would love to have a conversation with you about sustainability. All right. Thank you again. I hope you have a great rest of the week.
There'll come a day, my mama told me, when I find love to have and hold me, a heart that's strong and so sincere. Just tell me, how do I get there from here? Oh, tell me, how do I get there from here? 'Cause here and now I'm so far down that mercy's bound to find me. We'll find a way to soothe the sickness. We'll heal the ache with sweet forgiveness. Wages of war will disappear. Just tell me, how do I get there from here? I wonder, how do I get there from here? Yeah, 'cause here now I'm so far down and mercy's bound to find me. When that state of grace has finally found me, well, there'll be music, ooh, and good friends around me, and I'll just smile through happy tears.